Greetings from South Africa. My name is Jennifer Bisgard. I currently serve as the African representative on the International Organization for Cooperation and Evaluation, and I also lead the Voluntary Organization for Professional Evaluators toolkit effort, which is to support associations and societies that are building evaluation capacity around the world. I have served as the General Secretary of the African Evaluation Association as well as the Southern African representative. And I have a long career in evaluation. Well, I think probably the most memorable experience and the key lessons learned was starting COLISA in 1993. Monitoring and evaluation was a complete unknown across the continent. People vaguely knew about it. And so starting it, convincing organizations and clients that they needed to collect data, that they needed to think about data, that they needed evaluations, was a massive effort. We also spent an inordinate amount of time just defining terminology for people. Today, 21 years later, we're a thriving monitoring and evaluation practice working across the continent without having to explain much of the terminology and the rationale any longer. And then in terms of the second thing was working with other emergent evaluators in the early 2004 to start the South African Monitoring and Evaluation Association. Again, it was like pushing a boulder up a hill to try to convince people that this was necessary and important for all of us to grow our profession and to work together. So in 2005, we managed to launch the SAMIA. And in 2007, we had our first successful conference. And today, 10 years later, SAMIA has gone from strength to strength and is celebrating its 10th anniversary. I think that probably one of the most important things for evaluation is going to be professionalizing evaluators. What will we choose to do? Will we look for an accreditation? Will we look for credentialing or standardizing or working with ISO standards in evaluation? There's a lot of different paths that we can take. But there is a concerted effort worldwide now to look at this and to decide what sorts of models we might adopt for the profession. The second thing I think is that there's a growing sense of needing to build networks that support evaluation efforts. So already there's some in the global environmental sector. We have recently started an Eval Gender Plus, which looks at women but also vulnerable populations. We're looking very much at setting up a network called Eval Youth Plus, which is going to focus on emergent evaluators, and it's something that we feel very passionate about here in Southern Africa and have been doing for a number of years, but we need to do it in a much more concerted and proper way. And the third one is called Eval Culture, and that network really looks at marginalized cultures and communities who need to have a voice and a stake in evaluations. I think the second thing that we'll be looking at is the UN resolution called for government systems to be developed in evaluation. And so already we've been working on this with parliamentarians. I think we need to think about it in working with the statutory bodies, the attorney generals, the auditor generals, those types of organizations who really have an evaluation model. And finally, in the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, which are going to be adopted, and evaluators are going to need to play a major role in doing that. So to support all of this, we really need to build the civil society side of things. So continue to support the VOPEs, building their capacity, building their ability to do advocacy, to promote an enabling environment for evaluation. Well, I think Evaluator has been a fantastic opportunity for us all to come together in a variety of ways and to set up conferences and workshops and other events that celebrate Evaluator. And what we find is that many organizations who don't have monitoring and evaluation as their core focus at all are now having monitoring and evaluation events this year to celebrate Evaluator. In addition, there are lots of publications that are coming out that are focusing on evaluation and its impact and how important it is to society. I think that's going to be critical. So this, like other UN years, is a massive opportunity for us to mobilize a huge population and to focus on what's going to happen next. And so we've already started the consultative process of thinking about what the global agenda for 2016 to 2020, Eval Vision 2020, should be. And I think we'll need to really focus on building that global agenda, which will culminate in the International Forum for the Global Agenda on Evaluation in Nepal the last week of November in 2015.